Welcome to Creative Block. We're your hosts, Gene
and V. We interview people in creative industries about their life, work, and hobbies while we doodle jam.
We usually ask people on Twitter if they had specific topics they wanted us to discuss, as well as some drawing prompts.
And today with us, we have us.
Yes!
For episode 100.
Who are you people?
That's so crazy. 100, everyone. Isn't that like
100
crazy?
episodes.
100 episodes, 2 years.
Yeah. This was a lockdown project that escalated
Very quickly.
It was me and V being sad and wanting to do something with our time. And look at us now.
Yeah, and it's crazy too, because we were just like, it started just like Jade and I talking, and like I tweeted this idea. Gene was like, hey, I had an idea like that. And I was like, well, maybe we should make it together. And then that was the first year, and I was just kind of like, I don't think I can edit all these episodes. So we brought in Clemens for our first year. Honestly, the show would not be running without you.
Absolutely.
The heart of Creative Block.
Yeah, like literally that's the main reason we can keep the show coming out every week. And then when 2022 rolled around, we were like, we need a little bit more help. And that's how Gene got the great idea to reach out to Malik. And like, because you guys met from before, right? From the previous podcast.
Yeah, from Against the Algorithm.
Yeah, I had an old show I did Against the Algorithm where I interviewed musicians, and I interviewed Q-Bomb. And so that's how we started talking. And yeah, I think it was like there was a weird serendipity where like Against the Algorithm was slowing down, and then Creative Block was like, hey, come. You can do this thing. And so it was really exciting. I was a fan of the show even before I got the message about being a producer, so it was like perfect full circle to jump on the project. And yeah, it's been cool. It's been awesome.
Yeah, it felt like a good fit. We were kind of splitting up stuff before where like Clem was uploading and I was writing copy and doing all, and it was just like starting to take a toll, and I felt like we needed somebody else. And because I knew you and I saw that you were winding down, but it didn't seem like you were like super stoked on winding down Against the Algorithm. And I was like, well, maybe this is like good for everybody, and it seems like it was.
Well, I don't know if I ever told the story on why I just actually called it. Because there was a winding down and I was thinking about ending it, but then also something happened in particular, and I don't know if I ever said it. So I was editing an episode one day, and I might have been at the bar previously while I was editing said episode, and I had water next to my desk while I was editing the episode. And I turned, and the water hit my audio interface and just completely knocked the whole thing out. So me staring at this wet audio interface, knowing how much money it cost, I was like, well, the show's over.
That's it.
Wow.
Pack it up.
The lore.
Like,
Creative Block lore.
It became a break, and then the break was like, you know what, we're done here.
That's so crazy. Yeah, I feel like you've helped out so much, Malik, like having like for us just like being able to like rely on you, because for everybody who's like wondering, like a producer, as a producer, Malik will like reach out to guests, schedule everything, set up the room, set up the Google Jamboard, like keep us on track, because sometimes we forget if we need to like reach out to guests or what episode is coming out when. So it like having someone to kind of like look at all these like numbers and people and keeping us on track, it's been so helpful.
I'm the host wrangler. Yeehaw.
Yeah,
but
that's production.
Yeah, and like as we were saying, like doing this podcast, it is a lot of work, and like us trying to figure out who does what and how we allocate our time has kind of led us to kind of
restructure.
Restructure a little bit how we're gonna go about moving forward.
Yeah. Well, so probably not a surprise to our regular listeners, but I've been kind of taking a step back from Creative Block for the last like 6 months or so. Like I haven't been in a lot of episodes. V's been holding it down, doing a great job. But yeah, I just it is hard to maintain a weekly schedule. And it was getting to be especially difficult for me with like we had 3 music videos to shoot for QBomb and produce. And then I started up doing No XP, which are these animated shorts that I've been doing. If you follow me, you've been seeing them. And so like, you know, this was born out of like a want to make a sort of, you know, educational thing, put out this information, keep in touch with friends, get their stories out there. And in the last year, it became just with things opening up too, it just became more and more challenging for me to like keep that schedule. So sorry that I haven't been on as much. I'm still going to be around. I'm going to kind of pop in when there's certain guests, you know, just feels right. But it's honestly been nice to not have the pressure of doing it every week.
Like we're kind of thinking of having now like different guest hosts. I'll be the main host of the show, so the anchor of Creative Block. Jean will still be around as a guest host, and so depending on the guests and who we book and like how schedules align, like you'll see Jean popping in from time to time, which will be really fun.
Yeah, it's a little bit like, who's that Pokemon?
Yeah.
It's Jean.
It's me. Yeah, I love doing the show, and it was a whole thing. Like it took me months to kind of feel it out, but it ultimately just was difficult to maintain. And I talked to the team here, and we figured out, you know, a new sort of structure, a new pipeline. And it gives other friends of ours opportunities to host as well. And so you'll get kind of a different perspective from a host as well. You know, I think everyone's tired of hearing me talk about Dragon Ball. So
it's gonna be kind of exciting too to have like the different flavors from the different hosts. Like I always say, like when I pitch the show to like my friends who I'm like, hey, you want to co-host? I'm like, I'm the NPR one, you can be the fun one.
Yes. Yeah, I'm the one who rattles the cage, so you need more people that give hot takes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'll be around. So and I'm always, you know, I'm in the Discord, not as much as I used to be, but you can always reach out to me if anybody wants to ask any questions or anything. I'm always available. It's just hard to do a 2-hour show every week.
Yeah,
it is difficult.
And we have some really exciting news. We're gonna get a new co-host on the show, and you guys already know him. His name is Sean Glaze. He was our guest on episode 66, and he also goes by Lord Spew. Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm so happy to have you come back on the show. It's really fun because we had met before, like, you know, drawing and drinking and stuff. But Jean and I were guests on doing Drawing Request, which was your interview podcast.
Yeah. No, so basically, I have this live interview podcast, video cast, live stream. I don't know what to call it, but basically, I have different artists, storyboard artists, show creators, animators, whatever, come on and duel me in live drawing requests from the chat in like timed rounds, and so it's a little bit more competitive. It's a little bit like your show is so much more chill, and I'm coming from like I'm like scarred and war torn battlegrounds, like I've been battle tested, but I had you and Jean on to do a duel with me, sort of, and the joke was sort of like there can be only one artist interview podcast, but it was so much fun, and I really vibed with your guys' energy, and there was a lot of really good drawing chemistry, and so when I saw you make a post that was just sort of talking about you were kind of lone hosting for a little bit. I reached out, I tweeted at you and I was like, if you ever want a co-host, so like I had fun drawing with you before, and I'm used to my own voice. I'm used to talking and performing. So
Yeah, that was so cool because that's the thing. I was just kind of like doing a bunch of episodes on my own because Gene was really busy with QBomb and No XP, and he's doing all these fun projects. And I was just like, I'll try to see how I'm doing hosting by myself. But I feel like, and you guys can kind of weigh in the comments when you're like listening to this episode. You can comment on Spotify or YouTube. But I feel like I'm a little like too educational, a little too serious, and I was kind of missing the kind of like fun and kind of silly vibe from Gene. And when Sean reached out, I was like, Sean is fun and silly and comes up with all these like great ideas. So I was just like, let's try that.
if you guys also want to reach out in the chat and let us know whether you prefer just V completely alone without me or me plus V.
It's funny too because Sean, you're like more used to the very live on Twitch. Like Twitch is like Sean's kind of home base, and I'm more like, oh, I'm hiding behind the editor to make me sound better.
Yeah, but also when I make mistakes live, it's like,
Yeah.
like, oh no, that's just out there. Everyone saw that. That just went to print immediately. But yeah, what I do over on Twitch is I do a combination of sort of interview show kind of stuff. I have guests on to do live kind of communicative drawing. Like we draw while we talk and we draw what we're talking about, and as well as make full cartoon shorts from start to finish. I talk about voice acting and writing, directing, storyboarding, animating, and I try to do it all live, and I try to have it be educational. So at its spirit, I think that it's very akin to what you guys do here. I just do it live, and I'm probably used to doing it a little bit dirtier because I do come from a little bit the adult comedy cartoon space. Like I'm not talking about prawn. I just mean like we say some curse words. There's some blood. There's a few saucy jokes. And I have to. I reel it back in a little bit for this one, but for the show, but.
I do think that's really fun though for a creative blog because Gene and I both came from kids animation. We both came from Nickelodeon, and I've dipped my toes a little bit in adult. But I think that's going to be really, really fun to have Sean who because you've worked, what are all the studios that you've worked at real fast, just to kind of give a little bit of a.
So I started out at sort of like the scrappy studios like Fox ADHD. I've worked at Titmouse, but then I've also been a part of kind of your worlds too. I've worked with Disney. I've worked at Disney. I've worked at Cartoon Network. I've worked with Shadow Machine, Amazon, and I've kind of worked all over the place. Both in adult animation and kids animation, and I mean I love it all. I think for my personal stuff I make a lot of adult things, but
because you had a pilot with Adult Swim, right?
Yeah, no, but I also think that those things can be pretty fluid because I come from the world of storyboard driven animation, like I worked on regular show, but then also I've worked on the Midnight Gospel, which, as you guys know or may know, was created by Pendleton Ward, who's the creator of Adventure Time. So there's a spirit of that childlike drawing, but with adult storytelling, the adult storytelling of Duncan Trussell, and so I appreciate where those worlds meet,
Yeah, I think that's really great. I'm really excited for that too, because I think this is gonna bring a new spark energy and also for you guys who are listening to the podcast, if you ever want to ask questions that kind of are in the adult space or whatever, I think that's gonna bring a new lens on stuff. So I think that's gonna be a lot of fun. And yeah, I think so you guys are going to hear a lot of Sean in the new year, and that's going to be a lot of fun.
Get used to it. Get used to this little voice, this sweet little voice. I hope I give you a cavity. Get used to it. Gobble me up.
And we're also gonna have some extra hosts.
Hi, my name's Ari Castleton. I was on Creative Block episode 6, and you might know my work from a show called The Loud House, also Middlemost Post. A fun fact about me is that I had a friend who threw a knife at my back, a rusty old knife, stuck it right in my back. That's cool. You can follow my work at Castletoons on most social medias. That's Castle and then Toons. It's like my last name. Thanks.
Hey, my name is Megan Boyd, and I was on Creative Block Episode 7. You might know my work from The Cuphead Show, Middlemost Post, and Thundercats Roar. A fun fact about me is that Pocahontas laughed at me at Disney World when I was 8 because I said I was from New Jersey. You can follow my work on social media at Magic Bunny Art.
Hi, my name is Carl Hedrika, and I was on Creative Block Episode 47. You might know my work from The Cuphead Show, Mickey Mouse, Animaniacs, and my pilot animatic Becky Prim on YouTube. A fun fact about me is that I didn't lose my last 3 baby teeth until I was like 16 and a half, and they had to pull the rest out because I was taking too long. You can follow me on social media at Carl Hedrika, just my first and last name, with an underscore for Twitter.
Hi, Creative Block listeners. My name is Rose Fadouk, and I was on Creative Block episode number 86. You might know my work from Aquaman, King of Atlantis, The Mighty Ones, and the upcoming Tiny Toons University. Listen. Fun fact about me is that I have a big prop sword, and I'm not afraid to use it. For nice things, of course, like opening letters and making kebab skewers. You can follow my work on Instagram at Rose Fadouk. Looking forward to future scintillating conversations.
But yeah, thanks so much for all the supporters. Appreciate it, everyone backing the Patreon and everything. If you want to keep up with me, check out Q-Bomb. We're going to be putting out more music. We put out a whole album last year. I guess I forgot to mention that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's called
Put out an
Hyperpunk.
album. Did a few music videos. Did a bunch of shows. Did an art gallery in Little Tokyo. It was a crazy year. But we have to kind of keep going and keep doing more stuff. So there's no slowing down for that. And I have to sink more of my time and energy into that than before. So. And then no XP as well. I've been doing these little shorts. I just wanted to get back into animating. Honestly, the show was a big part of me wanting to start doing my own stuff. And talking to all these indie animation people. I had these little pangs of jealousy hearing them talk about that stuff, and I was like, I don't want to keep removing that part of myself, or keeping it kind of on pause. And especially with the state of the industry and everything, everything, the studios aren't being particularly kind to original ideas, and so I wanted to try to make something of my own.
I do think it's a go ahead, Malik.
No, I was gonna say, in like an awesome way, it's kind of like it. You hear a lot from like people and fans of the shows that like Creative Block inspires them to like create their own projects or want to like work more on like whatever they're doing, and so it's kind of like you get to experience that. Like you're like, hey, like I am feeling inspired from the work we did with the show, so it's like it did its job. Funnily enough, even with one of those,
it did. Yeah, and who knows what'll happen. I've made 5 of them. They haven't done like spectacular, million views, but like the third
They've
episode
done really well. Like Poppy.
I'm also cynical. Yeah, that one.
That one's really fun and cute, and it did like on every platform. It did really good.
That one popped off.
Poppy popped off.
That one poppied off. I get why too. It makes sense. And I have more. The next one, I'm. It's hard for me to like bank on anything, but the next one feels like it will also. I hope will have a similar effect. But
XP coming up soon.
Oh yeah, no, I've been I've been working on them. I have another one pretty much finished. I have another that I'm working on. Like I realized last year that like the best way to not have the blues is to always be working on something. And which I think a lot of people, and again, it goes back to people talking about their own creative blocks and their own mood, their sort of ups and downs of being a creative person. But it's like you got to just keep making stuff. Like you almost can't. And I think I think you exemplify that with Rodney and other things you do. It's like you if you're stopping to think about how something will do, or even be disappointed with the lack of, response or whatever, it's like you're just shooting yourself in the foot. Like you have to just kind of keep going and do it for yourself, I think, first and foremost.
Oh yeah, 100%. I do feel like, and to kind of like segue into a fun little creative block retrospective. Like I do feel that this is how I love to do creative block as well. I love to do it for, like the love of like hearing other people's experiences, hearing all of the different way they kind of blossomed into animation. And I feel like just getting inspired is such an important thing to like tend to it's not cater, but like you want to make sure you're always inspired. And for me, creative block is like a really great way to stay inspired, because talking to other people about their creative process is always inspiring. And I wonder, because so we have added Malik to the show as a producer in 2022, and he was doing it against the algorithm, and then we tricked Malik into doing his new music podcast again.
So you made me drop the water on my mixer.
Yes, that was actually planned.
Yeah,
I had a little string wrapped around it. No joke though. That was like when I was thinking of reaching out to you. That was like a thought that crossed my mind right away. I was like, I didn't want to like push it too early because I wasn't sure what your reasoning was, but I was like, I mean, why not? Like, why not come in and keep doing your podcast with like this built-in audience and resources and stuff. So I'm glad it all worked out.
For sure, yeah, and it's been great to like have it back. And it's been trippy because I remember when we were just setting up like the basics of like the show, how it's going to be laid out, and then almost immediately before we even started recording, like people started reaching out to me for interviews under Creative Block, and I think they sent it to the Creative Block email, and I just flipped out. I was like, wait, how do they know? I'm like, how?
Because you've made a name. I think that's what's also really sweet, right? Is like no matter what project you do, as like it could be like a creative or like a host, or when you do stick to a project for a while, people do remember you for your project, and I think that's really cool. That I think you have made a name for yourself, Malik, in the music scene in that way.
And it's been awesome. I mean, it's like it's cool in some ways because there is a testament. Because half the guests on this first run were a lot of people that were friends, like people who are friends who've like been on Against the Algorithm, and it was more or less kind of like a year check-in to be like, hey, it's been a year. How are you doing? How are things going with music? And so it was like a really nice full circle way to bring it back. Also, like you said, there's a bigger audience than versus like Against the Algorithm, which was a show I just was building block by block. So, but having that like opportunity to put people whose music I believe in and like making awesome stuff, and then also talking to cool guests who I was a fan of. I mean, I'll name them because I want to shout them out. Like In the Morning, Jiraiya, Haunter, GFM, Jeff Rosenstock was like a really big one. That was so cool, mind blowing.
That was crazy too, because one of my friends was like, I'm so jealous you get to talk to Jeff Rosenstock, and I'm like, oh, I'm not talking to him. It's actually music box. That was so cool. I thought that was really cool.
It's been fun the show has been also a really good way for me to like feel like I'm a peer amongst all these people that I really admire. Which did a lot for my like self-esteem and just general like confidence, because it's like there I think there always feels like there's a barrier between you and the people who have like achieved all these things and the people you look up to, but the show made it very clear to me very quickly that like there's not really a barrier. Like all those people might have achieved things, but they ultimately all are just trying to like pay the bills, and like there's kind of a status quo you always return to after every success, and I think that's humbling and kind of nice in a way. To me, it was nice because I was like, oh, even somebody like Jorge Gutierrez has, a show and then has to find a job and is unemployed for a year, So it's like, I don't know. It helped me kind of see things differently and like,
Yeah, I agree. I feel like this is also one of the reasons why I'm so glad that through the show, I was able to talk to some like webcomic people to kind of know what it's like for them to make webcomics and what it's like. Because there is a way that animation and comics intersect. And I just kind of also wanted to give a shout out to all these people that, made webcomics and we got on the show who like really inspired me, and kind of also, like you said, Gene, is very humbling to talk to others who are also, because when you look at their profile on Instagram or whatever, it's like, oh, they're like, it makes it look easy because it's just the final product. But when you talk to the artist, it's like so much work goes into this. So shout out to Brianne Drouard, Aminder Dhaliwal. Shout out to Shen Comics, Michelle Lamb, Chris Enka. We've had so many really awesome comics artists. So that's been really Julia Kay. That's been a trip having all these amazing people. Hannah Kay come on the show. Really cool.
Yeah. I always like doing the episodes with people that aren't artists too, because I think that we kind of set off in this doing it like it's animation, but at one point we had a discussion over like, should we expand, and I like that we did. I think that having these slightly outsider perspectives is interesting because there's so many parts of this industry and even outside of this industry that still align with that stuff. And like, for me, Jason DeMarco was a huge get. Like I know Malik, you were too. Yeah, that, and it's like that dude shaped my. I was trying not to geek out, but that dude like shaped my whole life, and accidentally. He doesn't even realize it really, but and then like, but even like getting Carlos Luna, like I had a lunch with him and he was saying so many interesting things that I was like, oh, hold on, this is all applicable to like animation and indie stuff. Like you have to come on the show. And I've seen people mention his interview as like good examples of like, the sort of the information that he was giving. And that anytime I see people completely outside of our sphere, I'll like accidentally stumble on tweets that are like, oh, this interview with this person on Creative Block. I'm like, oh my God, are we like a reputable source? So like it's always awesome.
I remember there was, I don't want to say who it was, but there was that one time where like a fan base of a show listened to like a clip of like a showrunner being like, hey, this thing happened. Yeah. And I think it was one day we checked the analytics for the episode and it were like massive and we were like, how did this happen?
That was so crazy.
We figured out who we was talking about.
That was so fun. Yeah. I mean, I think that's also what's really cool about because for me, Creative Block is the very first time I've ever uploaded anything to YouTube. So I'm not very familiar with YouTube and how it works. It's a kind of foreign social media platform for me. And seeing that videos can have a second life in that sense that like you uploaded, okay, good. But then maybe a couple weeks later, somebody tunes in and they're like, oh, like, check this out. That's really cool. And another cool thing is that, when maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but when you meet some of the fans and they're like, yeah, I listened to this podcast on my way to work. And it's like, oh, really? It's like, true. Like, it's on YouTube, but it's also on like Spotify and like iTunes. And it's like, we're like a real podcast, y'all.
Yeah.
That's like crazy. Cause I don't know about you guys. I listen to a lot of podcasts and it's that running joke of like, when you're in LA, you have a podcast. Of course,
I do hate that, and like every time I talk about it, I have to do like, and I have a podcast, and like, but it's like, Whatever.
But I feel like it's really cool to be like, we're actually doing this, like we're consistent and it's fun. It's fun doing this thing. I'm really, and talking about, Spotify and stuff like, people sharing their Spotify Wrapped and Creative Blog being number one, and some of the listeners, it's like, oh my heart. And Malik, like, you had pulled out a list of like favorite episodes. What are like some of the episodes that people really like listening to this year?
So if we're talking about the big ones, we're talking episodes. I have it right here. Ann Hansen was a real big one. That one was a massive episode. And I think that was the first episode of the year. So coming out the gate, like real strong with that one and immediately being like, hey, we're back.
I was so nervous for that one. I had to have a drink, and that's why I remember people in the comments were like, V laughs too, like, they're too loud, and I was like, oh man, I'm so drunk. So now Creative Block lore.
Was that a dark secret?
I don't know if it's a dark secret. I don't know.
We all knew.
Yeah. I feel like with some of the guests, I was so like nervous. I was like, I gotta like loosen up a little, but then I like am insane. So sorry.
So I have some more. We have Owen Dennis is another big one.
Oh yeah.
Tyson
Owen
Hess
was great. Yeah. Oh, Tyson was great too.
Yeah.
Everyone was great.
Let's see. I have a few more. We have Lauren Faust.
Yeah.
Lauren
that was a crazy
yeah.
one.
That was serendipity. That was so great. She was so gracious with her time. I can't believe. Yeah, that's so cool.
Rob Renzetti.
Rob Renzetti was really fun too. It was cool to hear he went to art history. Like he majored in art history. That was really cool.
And then there's also Sean Glaze, but we don't need to talk about him.
Lord Spew. He changed his legal name to Lord Spew.
Legally Lord Spew.
Yeah.
Esquire?
The third.
Man.
The third.
That was so fun. That's so crazy. It's really crazy to see like the guests who we've been able to get on the show and just like, having all kinds of showrunners and like all kinds of professions like board artists, like color designers, having people who do comics, but also people who do like the executive side, like Jason. That's been really, really fun. And what's been really fun too has been, showing up at conventions, because I was just like, let's see what happens. And so Clemens came with me to Lightbox Expo. Yeah. How was that? How did you like it?
It was overwhelming because it's loud. There's like 1,000 people in a very small amount of space. But it was so nice to have fans come up, and especially like young people and students who are trying to break in, and they're like, oh my god, it's so good to meet you. I listen to your podcast all the time. And I was just like crying on the inside, like, you're who I do it for.
Right, because also like Clemens works really hard on this. Like we might be spending like 2 or 3 hours just like talking, but Clemens has to like listen to your 3 hours we're talking and spend additional hours cutting it all together. So yeah, I'm so glad that you were able to come and like meet all of the fans, because a bunch of them showed up, right?
Yeah, we ran out of business cards.
So that's actually a really cool thing, because we like gave away all the business cards. I was thinking like we were brainstorming merch, so that's gonna be really fun. For now, we're just probably gonna stick to like a shirt, buttons, stickers, probably just a Creative Block logo for now. But if you've tuned into Rose Fadouk's episode, we're maybe thinking of the anxiety hat.
Hat.
Oh my god, I think every single time I just remember the anxiety hat. I'm just like, that needs to be made yesterday. How have we not done this yet? And then I remember it's my fault.
Oh, you're doing great.
No, I'm being...
2023, we're going to make Malik work really hard.
Yes.
And the cool thing is that we were able to get a table for WonderCon. That's in Anaheim in California. That's in March. It's the weekend of the 24th. So 24th, 25th, 26th, something like that. If you guys are in California, or if you guys want to make a trip to a really cool convention, it's like basically a smaller scale San Diego Comic-Con. So you can come and say hi to Creative Block, but you can also see a lot of cool shit. So that'll be really fun. So hopefully we really hope to, say hi to more fans and hopefully do more cons, because it's great to meet the fans and, maybe you'll see Clemens again.
Yeah, lurk. I lurk.
Maybe I fly from New York to WonderCon.
Do it.
That would be freaking cool. That would be really cool.
I say that and I put that in the universe, and I'm just like, okay, how do I now I'm thinking about logistics because this is my job.
Vision board. Put it on the vision board.
You're producing yourself.
Yeah, ever since 2020, that's become 2023. That's been more serious.
Oh man, that's really fun. Yeah. So, if you want to come and say hi, come to WonderCon, y'all.
Come say hi, please. It makes me happy. It makes my heart go doki doki.
Do you want Clem to be sad? No. So go.
You want me to cry at my laptop and sob all over my keyboard and then panic that my keyboard's not working because of my tears?
And then you get the invoice for the keyboard? Boom.
I do need a new
That's why we have a Patreon, you guys. It's because Clemens cries too much.
Too much.
Cries through so many keyboards, Gotta
keep buying new keyboards.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Speaking of the fans, we got some questions.
We do.
That was a great segue.
So many.
Yeah.
Thank you. First time. I'm so proud of myself. Are you proud? Is anyone proud?
Very proud.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was a really good one.
I'm so proud of you, Clemens.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Christian.
But yes, I'm staring at the questions. There's tons and tons of them from our Patreon and our Twitter, so we're going to try our best to get through as many as possible. But if we don't, we're very sorry. You all of you came out, so thank you so much for all the love, and we will try our best. From Patreon, Fezhoof asks, with Gene launching No XP and an album, and V having lots of success with Rodney, wonder what kind of creative or just generally fulfilling endeavors the rest of the crew had in 2022.
Does that include me?
The rest of the crew.
Yeah,
it's mostly Malik and Clem. I wanted you guys to talk about your creative endeavors.
I love the first question I picked was immediately just like, we don't need to talk about them, me.
You go first. I'm shy.
I've been trying to think about it. I've had a lot of smaller endeavors. I've been starting to try to get back into drawing. Before I took a step out and am doing what I do now, which is a lot of writing, I wanted to be an animator. I wanted to be an artist. I kind of was like, I had that moment when in high school where I was like, I don't think I'm good enough. I'm putting away my pencils and walked away. But I'm been slowly stepping back into drawing. I have a tablet now.
Oh, very cool.
I've been working on maybe sketching a little bit more and just doing it for me. And so it's been really nice to just kind of have that time. And also I am definitely becoming I'm becoming a pretentious New Yorker because now I make my breakfast and I read the fucking New York Times articles.
Yes!
And
let's go!
And so it's not creative, but it's generally fulfilling and I love it. It's all just the theater and arts and books sections. It's all the creative stuff I read. But it's been generally fulfilling, so I will use it as an excuse.
I love that. I'm so glad that you're actually doing it. I have subscribed to the New Yorker before, and the magazines are extremely pretty, and they have stacked on my coffee table, and I have never opened them. So you're actually reading it. What about you, Clem?
Oh no, I have to speak. Well, 2022, I had a lot of ideas, but I didn't do anything. which is, why this show exists, creative block. But it wasn't even the creative part, it's just the doing part, which I think a lot of people can also relate to. But anyways, so I got over that mindset, because, like, if you don't do anything, you're not doing anything, right? But if you do something and you fail, you still did something. So, wisdom, oh shit. Anyways, so 2023 vision board right here, right now. I'm trying to design my own blind box of figurines. So, those little trinkets you buy and you don't know what's inside? I'm trying to design one of those. And it's
awesome.
fun.
That's super cool.
Thank you. Otherwise, I've been wanting to make my own games for a hot minute, and I actually have a better vision of what I want to do. The first one being, like, a study guide game for Hamlet. Because I remember when I was in high school, Hamlet, I liked it, but everyone else in my class thought it sucked ass. And so...
What?
Yeah, no one liked reading Hamlet, because, it's Shakespeare, and people are like, I can't read Shakespeare. So, my vision is to make it, like, easily accessible for people who either don't have time or just can't understand Shakespeare, for even, like, language barriers or just not being used to reading literature or shit like that. But anyways, I'm gonna make Hamlet fun for everyone. Rated E for everyone.
Yeah, it's a game for me, because I can't read Shakespeare in English. It's really, really hard for me. Every time I try to read Shakespeare in English, I can't do it because there's too many words I don't know. So I'll be your beta tester.
Thank you. QA, let's go. So yeah, that's a few things, and then there's obviously more I want to do, but also I want to post more on Twitter, like art and general shit. But we'll get to that when we get to that. So that's my spiel. Thank you for listening.
There you go. And speaking of getting through creative block, the next question, and I apologize in advance for if I butcher the handle, but from Twitter, Kanya Russo asked, who do you think out of all your guests on the show gave the best answer to how to overcome creative block? In my opinion, I really liked Owen Dennis' advice.
Oh man, I don't remember. That's a big one.
I think my most recent one, I'm cheating a little bit because that one's a recent, but that
it's a preview.
But it's one that like really, I really like really spoke to me was in Aminder's episode, and Clemens is going to be like sigh because I keep talking about Aminder in all the episodes. She said that when she's like has creative block with writing, she'll just try to write the worst version of whatever it is she's trying to write. And I was like, that is so smart, because not only does it take all the pressure off, but it's also going in the opposite direction where it's like, I'm going to make this so bad. And then by trying to make it bad, you're like, actually, this isn't so crazy bad. And then you can edit it. And I was like, that's so smart. So that's my answer.
I heard that writing your script in Comic Sans helps with creativity flow because it doesn't feel real.
Oh, that's true.
Don't write it in Times New Roman or Arial. Write it in Comic Sans or Papyrus. Or Wingdings if you're that crazy. Just go for it.
Decipher it.
I think I don't think it was the answer to creative block. But Aaron Hansen said something that stuck with me, that I think I asked him, like, how does he do so many things? And he said that he like just does them. Like he doesn't stop to think. And I keep coming back to that because I overthink things a lot, and I think a lot of people do. And everything that you've overthought, it's just wasted, so it's just like you got to kind of just make stuff, put it out there. If it doesn't, like I said earlier, like you just got to keep going. I've been trying to live that the last like 6 months more.
Yeah, I think that's great. That's really, really great.
For sure.
Malik, hey, you didn't give your answer, Malik. I see you.
I would say I feel like a few people have said it, but I feel like the biggest one I use a lot is like learning when to take a step back. So definitely, and like just walking away taking some time to think about it, because I just write so much that there's sometimes there's just diminishing returns and I can't look at the screen, and just like even taking a minute to just sit down or get a new perspective and just not think about it like immediately, it makes me feel refreshed. And sometimes I find the answer to the issues that might be like making me not do what I'm words. I talk for a living. But it makes the things that are like giving me that creative block.
Yeah, that's great.
Nice.
So, next question. K makes things. What keeps you going? What's that thing? If you put a phrase on it, what's that just lights a fire under you and gets you up and ready to fight that boss battle?
Spite.
I mean, honestly, I think my answer changes depending on like the month, because sometimes it's spite. Sometimes I'll watch something that excites me, or I'll play a game or something and it excites me. But yeah, it changes and I think that's fine. Like I think that the answer should change because life is gonna change and shift around you. So like, I don't know. The answer always evolves. Sometimes it's just boredom, which is like I mean, creative block for me kind of formed out of boredom. Like I needed something to do and I wanted to do it. I wanted to find a project. So, but then it evolved into something more. So,
yeah, I feel like for me, I it sounds so, I don't know. I have a savior complex, you guys, I guess. But it's really hard to do something for like myself or something that I'm like, I believe in myself. But it's so much easier for me if I do something for others. So for me, creative block was like, I want people to have access to all this knowledge, like when I'm talking to my friends about creativity, art, and all that stuff, and I'm like, this is stuff I wish I could have had as a kid, like I could have known all this. And when I write and draw comics, I was just talking to a friend about this recently. It's like I'm not really doing it for myself, but I'm doing it for the characters, because for me it's like that Tinkerbell thing where it's like if you clap your hands, like she's still alive. Like if I keep drawing the characters, they're still alive, but as soon as I stop like drawing them, writing them, if I stop talking about them, they die. And I need a sense of duty, and I have a hard time having duty for myself, but it's easier when it's for others. So it can be like real people or fictional characters, I guess.
For sure. I would say for me, anxiety. Well, that's the joke answer. But the serious answer is, I think there's always this like little need to try to like solve problems and like mysteries. Like I just think like it's always like the moments I get really excited is when I am able to sit down and think of like, okay, what are some cool ways we can improve and grow, or like what's a new way to put spins on this. And so I think like just being in creative block and being in the position I'm in, it is really cool to come up with new ideas or maybe try to find new ways to do things and try to keep the show fresh. Because that's the thing with podcasts. Like it I feel like sometimes if you don't keep thinking about how to keep the show fresh and how to inject new blood into it, it can become stale. And that becomes the death knell of podcasts. So finding ways to keep the show fresh, to improve, to do better, those are the things that excite me, and those are the things that keep me going.
But I already said spite. No, wait.
I think spite's valid.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It depends on what we're talking about. Because for the show, I already said I do it for the fans, especially for them college students who are struggling and want that little sparkle of hope in the future. For the gym, it's definitely spite. I'm angry. I put on my medal. I just lift them weights. Anyways.
Hell yeah.
For work, it's just the money. I need money. And then, like, everything else, it's just, like, not wanting to be bored. And just thinking to future me, like, man, future me, if I do this thing right now, they're gonna be so happy that I did this thing. If it's, like, cleaning my room, or, like, reading a book, or even just, like, going to see a friend. It's like, you know what, future me's gonna appreciate this, so I'm gonna do it for them.
Yeah, that's a good one. I do that a lot, where I won't feel like doing something in the moment, but I have to. I think forward a little bit, and sometimes I think forward a lot, where it's like, will I be glad that I stayed in this weekend, or will I be glad that I went out with friends? And the answer is always yes. I'll be glad that I went out, because like you can always get a good night's sleep and recover from being tired, but like you can't regain certain experiences and memories. So like,
this man sounds like he's still in his 20s.
I am not.
I'm in my 20s and I want to stay in for the weekend. Are you kidding? Yeah. I'm tired.
Same. 26 and I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Old man podcast. That's so new. 2023.
Boomer podcast. We're going to sell you supplements. Let's go. But our next question from Patreon, we have from Brother to Drummer. What did you originally want to do when you grew up?
This is a good question. Yeah, I don't think I grew up. I think my answer is boring, because I've been wanting to do like art or animation since I was a kid. So I'm actually living that dream. So that's cool. Yeah, I was always encouraged, even as a kid, like by my parents. So.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I feel like for me, I was like, at first, I'm going to be a drawer. And I was like, people were like, that's not a job. Then I was like, I'm going to be a children book illustrator. And then people were like, that's too hard. And then I came up with the best idea, which is I'm going to be a mangaka, which is very easy to do when you're not Japanese. So that was but I do comics is definitely like the closest thing to my heart. I love comics so much. And eventually my dream is to be able to make a living from comics. So we'll see. Maybe I'll be able to do it, maybe not. But in any case, I'm making comics in my free time, and that's still pretty close to the dream, right?
Yeah.
What about you guys?
So mine, I've had a few. I originally wanted to be a pilot, and then I realized I was afraid of heights.
I love that.
But then the big one before I was after that was I wanted to be a writer. I used to like write these notebooks filled with like, this was like during the young adult craze, so it was like Harry Potter, and it's like I'm gonna write the next like 10-book franchise that's gonna be massive. And so I'd write these little notebooks that were filled with like the ideas what each book was gonna be, and I would like spend so much time on them. And then I switched over to want to be an artist, and like it's kind of full circle that I'm a writer. But granted, the stuff I write about is very boring. But yeah, so originally, I guess the real answer was I wanted to be a writer, and I'm doing it.
That is really great.
Awesome. Look at us go.
Hell,
there we go.
Me,
yeah.
I don't think I was conscious about having a job until I went to college. As a child, I was just like, I don't know, I'm reading books. That's pretty lit, and I just didn't realize like, hey, you're gonna need to have a job to earn money to do stuff. So even in high school, I was just like, I gotta get this homework done. I wasn't even thinking about being like older than 18. But
yeah,
like when it was that time of year when you have to put in college applications, and like I learned then that colleges have like specialties, and I was like, I don't know. What do I want to do with my life? So cue existential crisis, right? And then my sister, not V, but our other sister, was like, hey, check this out. This college has like a video game program. And I was like, you can do that? you can go to college for video games? So I did that. And so for the entirety of my college experience, I was like, I want to be a concept artist. And then I realized to be a concept artist, you have to draw. And I wanted to, but I wasn't feeling the dedication to drawing every day. So now I was just like, you know what? I just want to be part of the game making process. And that's what I'm doing now. So I think I did pretty well. I still want to draw and make art, but it's not like the need of my existence anymore, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. That's really cool. Have you ever talked on the show about what you're doing now?
No. Because
Tell people,
I don't
it's
exist.
cool.
I'm the shadow that lurks around the podcast. I'm the quality assurance analyst on a game, which is DC Universe Online. So I basically
cool.
so the easiest way to describe my job is I get paid to play the game, but it's really not that simple. I just test the game in every way possible to make sure that it breaks, and if it does break, then that's why I'm getting paid.
Yeah, QA is
reported
difficult.
to everyone. Yeah, I report to artists, programmers, the sound engineers, producers. Like, I basically talk to everyone, and I'm that annoying person that's like, your stuff is broken, but in the best way. So,
but it's such a necessary job, and it unfortunately gets kind of shit on at some studios because I think people confuse it's like they kill the messenger, where it's like oh, QA, like come on. It's like, yeah, QA. Like QA is what makes the game actually playable, you idiots.
Yeah.
You can't not have it.
Yeah.
We're like the last line of defense between developers and fans. So we get shot at from both sides. But to be fair, without us, your game would not run.
Yeah.
So respect. That's what
it's funny because I've always wondered in my life what it was like to be. I've always called it a beta tester, I guess, but I was like, I wonder who can get that kind of job. And now my sister is doing it.
Yeah.
Well,
cool. It's like, from what I understand, because I'm pretty new at this job. I got it like in August last year. But QA is like, you're still in the studio and you kind of see the behind the scenes stuff, but beta tester is like basically a fan that plays the game early. So
right. So yeah, you're like you're employed. You're actually employed,
so I have
part of it. Yeah.
I'm like arm deep in the mess that is game developing, and beta testers are like walking a nice little wooden bridge on top of it, if that is a good metaphor, which it probably isn't, but it's the easiest way to describe it.
And so, this next question, this one kind of ties, I like this one because it kind of ties into something that Gene tweeted about like wanting to sit on his couch and like do work. So, from Twitter and Apple Sunyas, as artists, do you have a studio or dedicated space at home to make art outside of your workplace? Do you have any tips in creating your own?
I do. I didn't before. And then I moved into a new house this year. That was the other thing I keep forgetting. Yeah, I bought and moved into a house, which is a whole other feat into itself. So I was juggling a lot, but yeah, I have an office now, which is great. And it helps a lot. It helps a lot to have a separate space for different things, and didn't have that before, and that was taking a toll as well.
Yeah, I agree. I was gonna say, I personally try to have a little desk on which there's no computer. So I have like my main desk set out in the living room. And then there's like a tiny little desk that I have in my bedroom. And when I want to like focus on just writing, I go on that little tiny desk, or sometimes I'll go to a coffee shop because, you can even go to like, I don't know, a coffee, you look for one of these that are like, I don't know, coffee, bean and tea leaf or something, sponsor us. But they have like a $1 coffee, and I'm just like, I can spend $1 to stay there 2 hours or something. Yeah, that's what I do. What about you guys? Clem and Malik?
So I have like a whole little setup right now. I'm kind of my current like main space is in between the kitchen and living room in a weird little just kind of like spot, a little hole. But I also recently bought an iPad as a nice little way to kind of be a little bit portable and be able to like work on different things, to have like different stats and like be able to type out like in different places and be like really flexible. And that is also where I read the New York Times. I keep mentioning it and we'll name drop it, but it's like a nice little way to kind of be moving around, and it kind of freshens things up for me.
New York Times, sponsor us.
New York Times hosts the podcast. I mean, as like they can host the podcast as like a, hey, like they can get us those sponsors. Do you want what is it, BetterHelp? That BetterHelp sponsorship? You got this, like, or what is it, Casper mattresses?
Oh yeah, we all gotta sleep better.
Yeah, code blockhead for 10% off.
Wait, for real? You're not kidding right now?
Wait, what do you mean? No, no, you think I have a Casper sponsorship?
I legit thought Malik had like a tab with all of those like random, like, you know, like those where if you actually do put in the like code, then there's like a commission or whatever. But
I just was like, I just know, like, I listened to so many podcasts, I just know that it's like a one word thing to show. So I was like, okay, code. I figured our promotional code would be code blockhead.
I love it. Wow, I was gonna get myself a Casper mattress, but I guess not.
Well, Casper, you can make this dream a reality.
Oh my god.
Our email is, we're not gonna do that though.
All right, Clem, save us from this nonsense.
Well, for me, it's okay. I struggle a lot with drawing and anything creative, really, if I have like I don't want to say professional, but like too much of a dedicated space. Like if I want to draw and the only place that I can draw is like on a tablet, on a desk dedicated only to the tablet and the computer, I feel too like pressured, kind of like that big white page in the sketchbook where you're like, I don't know what to draw. So I draw on like scraps of paper. I draw in really shitty notebooks, and usually in between things. So like when I'm at my full-time job and I'm like waiting for a file to download, or I'm waiting for something to happen and I just have dead time, I kind of just grab a random piece of paper and doodle whatever. And if I really like it, then I'll do something with it. But that takes a lot of pressure off of me, and I feel more free to do what I want. Because if I have a new canvas on my tablet and it's just like it's literally the big blank white page, and I'm just like, this is too much pressure. And like digital art, it feels too clean. It just feels like too much. But it's like if it's a shitty mechanical pencil that you buy at Office Depot and literally scraps of paper, I'm just like, yes, let's go. So I don't have dedicated space. I don't have a studio, and what I have is shitty paper and a shitty pencil.
Nice.
and it gets you far.
It gets me so far.
And so with this next question, and this is the way to tie it in, Ash_art stuff, but do you ever think you'll have returning interviewees?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think we can. I think that the issue with that is just that there's so many people that we want to interview that it's like tough to come back to people, but we definitely would love to.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun. Yeah, exactly what Jean said. Man, there's some conversations that I wish could be like 6 hours. Yeah. But then I'm like, it's tough for the listeners. But I'm like, we're definitely keeping it in the back of our heads for sure.
And I mean, also, you also got to think about timing, because you don't want to do it too early. You want to make sure that the guest has had time to like have their experiences, have new things to grow, and also just like the hosts ourselves too. So you want everyone to have like new experiences and things to talk about. So when that new conversation happens, it's fresh, it's new. There's new territories, like you can build on it and not just have it be kind of like, hey, we're gonna keep going until we run out of things to talk about.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Gentle balancing act. This one's a real quick one from someone who might sound a little bit familiar on Twitter at Alsbisanet. Did I say her name correctly?
Yeah.
Hey!
Episode number. I'm finding it. I'm number 90.
90, yeah, there we go. This one's pretty recent. I have very strong opinions on this, and I will start cursing people out depending on responses. Pineapple on pizza. Thoughts?
Yes.
Goated.
Love it. Love it.
What the fuck? No. Why?
You're
Why?
a weird New Yorker that like.
I feel like you're
eats, like weird.
You're the
Well,
only one, Malik. You're the only one standing on that hill. Like,
Okay,
I'm
you
also
L.
all for pineapple. Sorry, I love the pineapple on the pizza. I
know.
Eat it.
I know. I'm outnumbered by LA Pete's people, but how dare you say
It's good.
I'm
I
the-
don't get the fucking like. I don't get the
It's
like
good on
stigma.
shitty pizza.
But I don't want
That's
shitty
true.
pizza. I want quality.
Okay, look. I've been to New York multiple times, and the pizza slices that everyone gushes about, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Where are you going?
I'm just saying.
Where are you going?
It's not about the place. It's not about any of that. It's about the ingredients.
The
And
water, Gene. The
it's
fucking
not,
water.
whatever. I've had New York bagels too, and I've gone to.
Don't you do this?
I've gone
Uh-oh.
to. I went to a
Bagels.
bagel shop that is. I think it's owned by LP, and it was a bagel. I don't get the fucking like.
You
feel
ate
like-
an LP bagel and you're being this disrespectful? How dare
I feel like
you?
I have to disagree because I remember going to New York over like a summer and getting a bagel at whatever friggin' shop, and then I couldn't stop thinking about bagels. And when
Maybe
I
I've
have
just had-
bagels here, they're good, but I'm like, it's always missing like I don't know, like they really like care about their bagels in New York, and here it's just kind of like it's a
Yeah.
sandwich, and I'm like, I want
It's an
Yeah,
art
yeah.
form. I love that was the question. That was just like,
I don't care for the like locale conversation where it's like the best food is like here, because it's like, no, I don't know, man. I've had great sushi in Japan. I've had great sushi in LA. Like, I just feel like when you start narrowing, when people get, it's fine to joke about it and like debate it, but when people start like getting really uppity about that shit, it's like, shut the fuck up, God. Like, I don't know. It's like,
I don't know, dude. I feel like honestly, in Japan, I've had some of the best. I've had uni that was so good.
Oh, sure.
That still now, even though I'm vegetarian, I'll still have uni. Never had uni like it was in Japan. Never. It's in my brain forever. I've never had it like that anywhere else. So I'm just going to be that uppity asshole.
No, that's fine. I mean,
and so,
man.
I mean, that one's a pretty quick one besides me, like, almost busting out the New York accent. Almost. So, next question from our Patreon, Ajax the Abrasive. Favorite Pokemon, because I'm now really curious, because I decided to mention asking us our favorite Pokemon in the tweet when we first mentioned, like, we're looking for questions.
I like Darumaka. I have I think for Darumas, I have a small little collection. And I like that little guy. He's really good.
I don't even know who Darumaka is. I had to Google him. He's very cute.
Yeah.
I've only played Pokemon Blue and Red, y'all. I'm so sorry. So I'm going to stick to the original 150. I have two favorites, and I still, up to this day, cannot decide which one I like better. I love Zapdos. Zapdos is fucking cool. He's awful. He's an awful Pokemon to level up, and he's kind of, I mean, he's fine, whatever, but I just love the way he looks. The other one, I don't know. You guys, I don't know his name in English. He's the one that's just like two eyes, two little feet, and a bunch of like, not Angela?
Yeah.
Is it
Tangela.
Tangelo. Yeah,
Tangela's
Tangelo.
really
Gosh, he's same. He's a useless little Pokemon, but he's so friggin' cute. Yeah, so it's a tie for me.
I would say I have not played that much Pokemon. I've only played the newest one that just came out. and I was gonna say Pikachu and B Basic, but I have an actual answer, and it's the little cat starter, the leaf one in this new game. Yep. His nickname in my game is Zaza.
Oh, that's cute.
That's very good.
And so yeah, he's my, and I also love cats, so that's why Zaza's my boy.
What about you, Clem?
For me, also Gen 1 Haunter, because he's a funky boy. And this actually ties into Alley Cat's question, favorite Pokemon type. I'm all for the ghost types. Ghost and poison, but mostly ghost. Ghost. Because I feel like they all need a hug, and I want to give them a hug, and so many of them are so cute. Or so creepy, and I'm all down for that. But Haunter's one of the OGs, and he's my boy. I love him so much.
Haunter is so great, and I love Gengar. And what's the name of the
Ghastly.
little first form? Ghastly. Oh gosh, these are like close second for me to Zapdos and Tangela.
For the longest time, I couldn't choose between Ghastly and Haunter, but then you know what, Haunter is like a plushie, but also like your homeboy, and I can't. Just 10 out of 10, best boy. Also like from the first game, which is the first Pokemon game that I played as well, so I have to go with the first one.
So we are down to, I think, our last two questions? Question mark? I'm gonna ask this one. I already know some opinions about this one, but I'm getting ready to see where this goes. On Twitter at KCPantsPants, which video game do you want to see adapted into a movie or TV show, and what type of art style do you want to see it in?
Oh man. I'll go last because I have a rant ready for this.
Well, I go for it. I don't think I have an answer because I think I don't know. I like things to stay in their medium. I think that adaptation from game to anything else feels like a step backwards usually. It's like,
okay, same.
Okay, then there you go. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Just for the sheer chaos, if money and budget wasn't an issue, just to see shits and giggles what would happen, I want to see a Kingdom Hearts adapted TV series, and every single world is done in their art style in the show.
Oh boy.
It would be a nightmare on a production standpoint.
But it's Disney.
If it was, Disney's
got the
if
money.
anyone would do it, I would want to see a Kingdom Hearts Disney show, and it would be an unholy amount of seasons. I want everything, even the weird side games as seasons or as movies. I want it all. That's my answer.
I feel like it would work because for me, it's like an RPGs. I think would work as adaptation because, not to use like a derogatory term, but it's kind of like they're a little bit more like less open world or a little bit more like a straightforward kind of game. It's kind of like, you have the main quest and you complete it kind of thing. So I feel like they would translate pretty well. My answer that Malik and Clem already know, if I could adapt a video game into a show, it would be Stardew Valley. I think it would be really good. I think it would work really well into a show because you could do so much drama for it.
Oh my god.
I think, and I was just pitching it to like Malik and Clem, and like my idea would be like instead of having just a single farmer, instead of like your grandpa having just like a single like a grandchild, like he would have 3 grandkids, and so there's like 3 farmers, and then you can have like all of the drama with like maybe maybe they all kind of like bicker over the farm, and then they like date the villagers, and then there's like anyway. That's my pitch. And it would be the same, very similar style to the game. I wouldn't change it like a crazy amount.
Okay, are y'all ready for this? I don't think video games can be adapted to movies or shows. Cause like, okay. The whole point of a game is that you can be a part of the story, right?
Yeah.
So if you take out that agency of the player and just make it something that's pre-built, like it loses the entire point, right? Because it's already happened. Like with Assassin's Creed, there was a movie, it flopped. they made books for Halo, and it's like
There's everything. Yeah.
no one even talks about those.
Prince
So
of
like,
Persia.
yeah, like it's been done, it's been tried, and it never works. And even now with the Mario movie coming out, like, like it's just
Mario
a mess.
is a weird one. I can give Mario an exception, sort of, because Mario is so heavily character driven, and I'm also a Mario lore simp. But I feel like were it not, I have doubts about Illumination handling it, but so far the trailers have been good. Mostly it's just that Chris Pratt's voice sucks ass. But,
yeah, exactly.
Let's go.
It's a bad choice.
Mushroom Kingdom, here we
come.
But I feel like,
yeah.
sorry, big tangent, and then we'll get back into the Mario thing. But like, Pokemon is successful as a TV show, and it's also a video game. So I don't know.
It kind of started that way, though. I feel like it was always. You're right. But I think it was like designed with that in mind, so it's a little different.
Well, it also has like a manga, right?
Yeah. No, the manga came later.
It came later, okay. Like, yeah, on that I agree that the Pokemon anime, it feels right, but it's I feel, personal opinion, don't come for me, or do, I don't care.
Whatever.
Like, it's kind of a Pokemon of the day, right? That's how at least the first one that I watched was formatted. It's like, oh, today we're going to learn about Raticate. Today we're going to learn about Butterfree and Cry. But like, and then I don't know about the next ones because I didn't watch those, but this one worked because that's like the entire point of Pokemon, right? It's to like find all of them, learn all of them, befriend all of them. So that worked, but I feel like that's the only exception. Because like,
I think.
Yes, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, I think that when we're talking like animated series, maybe, like I think there are plenty of examples of that working out. I guess what I'm talking about is like a live action adaptation or like a movie, like
or like even the Sonic franchise does really, really well with like the animated content, even though like the Sonic game is like, it's like a platformer, so I think it's just, in my opinion, it's just like as long as your characters are really strong and the writing is strong, because I don't know. I feel like this like Halo and what was the other game that came out? Like Assassin's Creed. I'm willing to bet that whoever wrote these franchises were just kind of like, it's a paycheck.
Yeah, they didn't care.
I don't think they cared. I think if somebody really, really cares about the franchise, then you can make it really fun and exciting. That's just what I believe.
Yeah. It's just, like, okay. I personally feel there would be no way to make an Animal Crossing movie or series, because that is entirely up to the player. But I feel like if you wanted to do a movie or TV series based on like a visual novel, then it would work, because it's like already a story, right? And there's not as much variation. I mean, except if you're counting like bad endings and shit. But like with open world stuff where you pick your side mission, you pick your equipment, you pick your companion, your horse, your weapon of choice, like Dark Souls, Red Dead, stuff like that. It just won't appeal to the entire fan base, which I guess you can't do that no matter what, but it's like
you can.
You'll cross out so many different experiences by just having one experience that it's gonna lose the appeal of the game in the first place,
Yeah. Was The Witcher a game first?
Yeah.
I think so.
Well, it was a book series first.
It was a book series first, right. And then they made okay.
Yeah,
I
don't know. Mostly, I get annoyed with like Uncharted and Last of Us, where it's like these were games that were
they were already a movie.
Yeah, they were giving you the immersive experience of a movie in a game, and then to take it backwards, you're making a worse version of the movies that they were based on because you've removed the fun part. Like, it's just stupid. So I don't know.
Especially because Uncharted is like, I don't know. Like, I've watched my boyfriend play it, and it was like, I mean, it's fun to see him play it, but I'm like, this is the story of this game.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
It's like,
not about.
yeah, it's like such a B movie, right? It's like,
Yeah.
what's fun is that it's a game. It's not like the story's not. I mean, no disrespect to anyone who worked on Uncharted, but you know,
there's also the element of like, hey, you can fuck up. Like, you can't do that in a movie. Like,
yeah.
There's like, hey, you can miss that jump, and that's just the end. And you can't do that in a movie or TV show and have that be like roll credits. Like, oh, they died, and then have them pop up like after 5 seconds later.
That'd be a fun movie, though.
It would be. I mean, I'm basically explaining Free Guy, I think.
Yeah, I think you just kind of pitched Free Guy.
But any more thoughts before we move on to the last question?
No.
Let's do it.
So I feel like this is kind of a good full circle question, and we don't really talk about super and behind the scenes stuff until like episode 100 or on our Patreon, where if you want to support us, you can and keep the show going. But from Twitter, a Cup of Joe asks, "Congratulations on making it to 100. I would love to know what goes into making the show, i.e. audio software, mics, Discord integration, and scripts / playing a podcast." So this one's a little bit more open-ended, but I feel like a great way would be like maybe talking about like start to finish.
Yeah.
What goes into just in an episode of Creative Block.
Sure.
Yeah. I think what's really interesting is that like it's a good question to have now because we've kind of like figured out our pipeline a little bit. But I will say, so from a host's perspective, so like Gene and I, we kind of like think about the guests that we want to have on the show or who we think would have like an interesting like story to have to share. And so we kind of like do the reaching out through like all kinds of different avenues. Sometimes it's like, oh, like I met this person at a party, that would be fun. Or like, I'll just try to cold email through LinkedIn or whatever. I don't know. It's all different kinds of ways. And then it's like, checking in with Malik. So Malik can help us like schedule and like kind of like answer questions for the guests. And we are using to draw Google Jamboard, which is Google sponsor us. But it's just you guys can all, it's free. You guys can all like literally type in Google Jamboard and use it. It's like a whiteboard. And to record the video, I am on a PC. So I literally hit the Windows key and G, and it just records my screen. If I were on Apple, I would probably use the QuickTime, but like on Windows, you can just record your screen. It's supposed to be for games, but I do it for the Jamboard. And I record on Zoom all of my guests, and the guests will record either with Audacity or QuickTime. So that's all that goes. And then Malik and Clem can kind of like take it from there.
Yeah, so after everyone's recorded and uploaded their stuff to Google Drive, because that's where we keep our files, because it's easier, everyone can access it, and it's like less of a hassle. I go on there, download everything, and I first start with audio. I use Audacity to edit everything. It's really user friendly. Like when I started on the podcast, which was the second episode of the podcast, I just downloaded Audacity, put everything in, and then figured it out from there. And because it's such like a widespread program, software, I don't know the right term. Like you can find tutorials and help on the internet really easily. Just type like Audacity, how to do this, and you have 50 answers. So that was really helpful. And then after everything's been sliced, copy, pasted, edited, and whatever, I export that and then take the video and audio elements into HitFilm Express. I really like it because same thing, it's really beginner, user-friendly. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it. But recently, I don't know what's happening with HitFilm. Like, you can't make a new account and link it to the program anymore, because I tried doing that on another computer, but it just wouldn't work. So I don't know what happened. Maybe it was just me. I had rotten luck that day. But if you decide to use it, I do recommend it, because same thing, you can find a lot of help easily online, but keep in mind it may not work. But I like that. And then I just upload the finished product onto YouTube, and then Malik takes it from there.
There you go. My big thing is I basically look at Google Documents, and I do a lot of kind of like uploading. So more or less, I am writing the descriptions for episodes. I'm getting episodes ready for our Patreon, so making sure that we're sticking to our schedule. I have a massive Google Doc from when I joined the team to now that has every single episode we've done, the dates, how we recorded it, is the edit done, and that's basically my main guide, to my North Star, and I get everything ready to upload. We also use Anchor as our main way to get it onto different platforms for mainly audio. And it's been pretty easy. It's intuitive. It's super nice to also have integrations for sponsorships that we possibly will do. Along with that, I'm also typically kind of like the last line of defense for QAing, just making sure things are good, just doing that final check off before it takes off and you all get to listen to it. I am also the person who runs the Twitter account, so because everyone's kind of doing their own thing, I make sure to do the tweets, but it's safe to say that if you have sent something or see something and it's pretty funny, it's pretty cool, I do relay it back to Gene and V. They do see it. And yeah, because like that's the thing. Like I don't like the last thing you want to do is just be like, hey, this stuff's happening, and have it separate. And so yeah, if there's cool comments or there's generally cool things are happening, I am like, look at my treasures, look at what people are saying. But it's a nice way to. So yeah, I'm generally just taking what has been made from Gene and V talking to guests, Clem putting it all together and making it nice and neat, and my job is to make sure there's a nice little bow on it and send it out to you guys. And that's how you make Creative Block.
That's how you make a podcast, y'all.
That's
and
it.
Then you do it next week.
Yeah, and you do it every week. I think honestly, that's like I think that would be the biggest thing I would say about making a podcast is like you really to be like resilient and consistent. And if you can do that, then you probably can do a podcast.
Sick.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I think those are all the questions I have, unless there's like a 9th hour one, but yeah.
Yeah, I think
Here's
that's really cool.
Question: what's your favorite part of doing the podcast?
Secrets that only I hear.
Secrets are fun. Yeah.
No, it's when people tell us, oh my god, I love your show, it helps me do this or that, and it helps me get out of a dark place. That's my favorite part.
Oh. Yeah.
I have to agree with that. That's like a really great one. There's some people whose work I've admired for years and years and years. And granted, I'm not the one who's like interviewing them, but there's definitely been some pinch me moments on, oh shit, I'm emailing this person. Even just like talking with like a brief interaction like that, there have been some few that I can't even say because they haven't come out. But I feel like that has been exciting, and it's a combination of just doing something that has meant so much to people and seeing that happen every single day, and then also being this amazing opportunity to help facilitate this show that does so much for people, and then also just having a moment of like, oh my gosh, like we really got this person, like it's so cool, and I can't wait for people to listen to this episode and get a chance to ask questions or see how creative people are going to be with their prompts too as well.
Yeah, I think for me, I just really love like just I love asking these questions about like the creative process and like kind of like picking other people's brains about these stuff, and it's like having a structure to do that is really fun because like it's kind of hard to just be at a party and be like, well, how do you feel about like creative block, and like how do you like come up with like stories and stuff? I don't know. So like having this kind of like format has been really great, and just like hearing at the end of the day that we're all kind of like struggling with the same kind of things, and like I think that's really fun.
Yeah, I think I mean my answer is the same as Malik's. I think it's it's what I talked about earlier. Like it's crazy to be able to connect to people and have like hour plus long conversations with people I admire. But it's up there with just, it's kind of on the same level as being able to like get those stories out there too. So yeah, that's our 100th episode, I guess.
Yeah.
You want to know the funniest thing about this? Right before we started, we were like, hey, this is going to be a quick one, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
In and out. Yep. And in Creative Block fashion, it was not 30 minutes.
It was not 30 minutes.
Yes, well, let's see. V, you got WonderCon. You got WonderCon coming up.
Yeah, so if you guys are like around in California or like Anaheim and want to check out WonderCon, it's like a really fun event. It's like basically like a mini San Diego Comic-Con, but it's in Anaheim. So if you want to say hi to me, and I think probably Clemens and maybe Malik, who knows?
In some way, crazy universe, maybe.
Yeah. Just like, hey. Yeah, that would be fun. And we're definitely gonna have we're gonna be making the Creative Block shirt, so just kind of keep an eye out for Creative Block shirts. And yeah.
And I got Q-Bomb stuff coming out, I'm sure, at some point. Keep an eye on that. I got No XP, more little animated shorts, check those out. Yeah, that's what I got going on.
Yeah. And if you love Creative Block, obviously, like some of the great ways to support this show is like talk to your friends about it, or like share it with your classmates, or like, leave a comment, or like a like, or like, and consider subscribing to the Patreon, because it's a great way for us to like pay for all the little things like the Zoom and subscription, like the drive, and Malik and Clemens to help them make this show really great. So yeah, that's like a really great way to also help support us if you love the show. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing your Spotify rap. That was so fun. I couldn't believe the amount of people who like had Creative Block in their top 5 podcasts. That was really, really cool. Oh yeah, and Malik, you've like found out something kind of fun about Spotify recently. And
that's true. So I mentioned Anchor, and so a cool thing with Anchor is it's actually owned by Spotify. And so if you go onto Creative Block on Spotify, there's actually automated like prompts you can do for Q&A, so people can respond. And it'll automate. I think the general one is like, how did you feel about this episode? And we've been starting like, this is like a new revelation. This happened like in the last 5 episodes. This thing has popped up, and we've been getting comments from you guys, and it's been so nice. It's been super cool. I shared some of them with V. It's really cool to have you guys respond to the show. So hopefully we want to do more with that. Maybe even do like a mailbag episode. That would be cool eventually. But it's so cool that you all are responding and engaging with it. And it's like a new way to, I feel like I've said engage a lot, but I feel engaged.
Yeah, I'm so engaged.
We're so engaged.
Yes. You're engaged as fuck.
Well, that's the end of this 100th. Sorry. Yeah, 100th Creative Block. Thanks for being our guest and sharing our story.
And thanks to our listeners. You guys are great. You can follow us on Twitter, but who knows what's happening with Twitter. So maybe also follow us on the Instagram. We do have an Instagram. It's crtv.blog. Right?
Yes, that's correct.
And well, you can also still follow us on Twitter, which is like @creative_blog, creative without the vowels.
And we also have a link tree in there too. So if you want to find us on everywhere, you can do that as well. We also want to find information on Gene and V that is also in the link tree as well.
Whoa! And we're gonna try to do more TikToks, y'all. So if you want to like follow us on TikTok, and share like silly little doodles and stuff on TikTok, that would be a lot of fun. So yeah, we ask for drawing prompts on all these crazy platforms because we're insane. And questions to ask our guest. Huge thanks for editor Clemens.
Yay!
For editing the podcast. And Malik in the house for helping us produce the show.
I've been your host, Gene.
And I was V. And you were
Malik.
Yes. And Clem. Keeping creative, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.